welcome to the Carry On Gaming podcast, where each week very different people come together in a modern world to talk about what we're playing, what we're excited to play, and most importantly, we try to keep calm and carry on gaming. My name is Grady. You can find me on Twitter at @AFriendlyPest, and I am joined by...
I'm Stefan, and you can't find me on Twitter. I'm behind the Carry On Gaming Facebook page.
And I'm Dan, and I'm not doing this ridiculous Bristol accent because... Boo. You can find me on Twitter at JanamanDan.
Dan Toucan. What's our sponsor this week, Dan?
Windows 11.
And Citronella Candles. Thank you to both our sponsors for funding this show.
No.
I've been talking to Chris. I talked to Chris. He's going to put together some sound bites so we can drop like a little audio thing before we switch topics, but in the meantime...
Like a laugh track when your jokes aren't funny.
Yeah, not a laugh track, though. In the meantime, we'll start with what we're playing. Def, you like talking.
I really don't like talking. I'm forced to be here. So I've been playing FIFA 21, and I excuse any German listeners whilst I butcher this team name, but I've now moved away from New York City and playing for Borussia Mönchengladbach.
Man, sound like a native.
That's definitely how you pronounce it.
Yeah, 100%. Native German right here. So I'm now on Season 3. I quite like playing for them, so I'm not going anywhere. I've also been playing Elder Scrolls Online, where I found you could be a necromancer. So I've started again to be a necromancer. Been playing with Dan and Grady. I found out some skills I can use will get us chased by guards, so I am waiting to get them and then troll these two. I've also been playing on some mobile phone games. There's one called Pirate Power, which hasn't been updated in like 5 years, but it's a bit of fun. You build a pirate boat and you fight stuff. Playing Happy Street, which is more of a casual, laid-back game. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I've been playing.
That mobile pirate game reminds me, one time I got like a naval combat featuring old boats game out of like a cereal box one time, and that was one of my favorite games for a little while.
Do you know what it reminds me of? Our Shanty we did.
That's true. Everything's... Plug the Shanty. It's up to 210 views, so our best piece of content yet as far as that goes.
I have also been playing Monopoly. That's
like
on my
in person,
phone.
Actual Monopoly?
Oh no, on the mobile. I play by myself. I have no friends on mobile.
Real Monopoly, that's so analog.
Wow. It's also super boring, so...
But Friday, I will be playing Magic the Gathering.
That'll be good.
The new set is already out on Magic Gathering Arena. It brings the D&D elements into Magic, which I can't not wait to go. I'm going to a pre-release in person for the first time this year, so I'm looking forward to playing that.
That'd be interesting. Magic got kind of too complicated for me at some point. You know, I liked it there for a while, but it got to where you almost had to read each card 3 times. You know what I mean? It wasn't worth the time investment necessary for me to play it well at a certain point.
It's a very expensive hobby to have. Very expensive. I played from the Infect decks quite a few years ago, then I stopped playing. Then I got back into it when I moved, and I found a comic book store by me, and then I've been playing Magic ever since. But then with COVID happening, everything got shut down, couldn't play at the comic book store, so I'm looking forward to finally going back and playing that.
Dan talked me into playing Elder Scrolls Online, which with the new console upgrade patch, putting that in performance mode, so good. We're actually really enjoying that. I like the way you travel about the continents and do the different quests, and you don't feel pushed by one quest giver at a place that's making you run out and back and out and back. So
Except the original tutorial.
Yeah, I do not like the original tutorial, which at one point I was forced to do kind of mid-campaign, but it's okay.
What tutorial?
You'll get there.
I skipped
Rite of
it.
passage.
Well, I think there's a point in the game where the original tutorial's rolled into the kind of campaign. But
yeah, because it kicks off the main campaign of the game.
Yeah,
Spoiler.
Anyway, I'm really enjoying that, actually. So that's been a nice change of pace, not what I normally play, but I find it's really comfortable to play casually. I've been playing this great smaller game that I found on Game Pass called Going Under, which is kind of a roguelike, I guess. You're an intern, an unpaid intern for a company, and it makes light of corporate culture, office culture, but you have to go into these dungeons that are underneath your office that these other failed companies are still occupied by the monsters of the former workers, and fight them and bring back relics and stuff. And I think I'm at about the halfway point where the difficulty's ratcheting up, but I'm really enjoying that. I like the music, the gameplay, and the kind of quirky nature of the game. That's been super fun.
So you're playing Amazon Simulator.
I was going to say, it's been fun. I was on a party chat with Grady when he was playing, and he goes, oh, you can hear me fight a boss. I'm like, okay. It was so quiet, with the occasional word when he got hit. Like, the
Well, I was
amount of
stressed out.
concentration needed, but it was just so quiet.
I mean, if you get killed, you get reset from the dungeon, you know. So I wanted to beat it. I'd only beat that dungeon like once before at that point. Now, as you get better at the game, and I don't know, it's not really giving me more equipment to make me more successful. But at some point, I just got the knack of it to where I was able to beat that level consistently and make progress on my skill unlocks and There are quite a few layers. When you finally endorse a skill, you can start a dungeon with that skill if you want to, and then there are these mentors, and if you do things for them, then they give you abilities. Like this one fellow will give you a free item from the store that you run into, so
Yeah,
I really enjoy it.
Like I said to you, when you were telling me about the game, I haven't played it yet, but it sounds quite similar to Enter the Gungeon and Binding of Isaac.
I'm sure it is.
Enter the Gungeon is on the Game Pass if you want to try it.
As far as what I'm looking forward to play, I think Dan has convinced me that we need to try out Red Dead Online. So I'm going to update that, and I think it's getting an expansion or just got one.
It's got it.
And
Yeah.
GTA Online.
I'm not as much into that. I don't think that game's aged all that well. It can make a good game night game, but I think Dan and I are actually going to posse up and do some cowpoking or whatever.
Yeehaw!
Well done.
I'll join. I want to be a cowboy.
That'd be a good time. I don't know if you played through that. Probably
I
my
played
favorite game
RD2.
ever made. Yeah,
And
great
won.
game.
I only worked out halfway through RD2 that this was the prequel to RD1.
That's all right. Super good game though.
I
Super
loved
good.
it. It took forever to get up the
I mean,
mountains, though.
Spoiler is not dead, so I don't know how you could think it was a sequel.
Because I wasn't really paying attention.
I think it means
Boo.
that Steve didn't finish RDR1. What that means.
No, I know he died.
Yeah.
I finished.
Spoilers.
Oh, spoiler! Yeah, I knew
Oh.
he died. I just didn't connect the two together. It was only when because there was like so much going on. And then it's only when I paid attention, I'm like, wait a second, this is the prequel.
Yeah, I love that game. I spent hours just hanging out in the camp and listening to the characters interact with each other and sing.
Yeah, that was nice.
Such a good game. So immersive. Really enjoyed that game a lot.
But I'm quite slow. But you know the Witcher TV series? It was like 4 or 5 episodes in that I realised there was like a timeline jump.
Like, wait a minute, this is a TV show, not a game.
But there's a video game what's going to come out and it's going to tell us it's a video game. So then we'll know it's a video game.
Speaking of which, they're adding stuff to Witcher 3 from that Netflix series, aren't they, Dan? What all is that going to entail? Just cosmetic stuff, or you think quests?
No idea yet.
I'm looking forward to that. I've been
I'm
looking forward
guessing
an
maybe
excuse
like
to...
a Henry Cavill skin, maybe.
I've been looking forward to playing back through that. You know what I mean? Looking for a good excuse, and what better excuse than better performance?
I can't wait to play through it again. I'm not sure if it's running at. I think it's running at 60 FPS at the minute, but it's not there's still things you could improve. Like the resolution definitely needs a bump up.
It got an Xbox One X enhancement that allows you to switch between 4K 30 or whatever 60. But yeah, it has not received a series console update yet.
I don't mind. I thought it was pretty good graphics-wise anyway on release. But then Bethesda games don't really age well, and I still like playing them. So
I think that was one of the very few games that on the Xbox One X I preferred to play at 4K 30 instead of the 60 because it seemed like it was locked pretty well and it looked that much better. But we're going to have the best of both, right, whenever it gets the newest patch, so it'll be awesome.
Yes. Daniel, what have you been playing?
Other than falling asleep, I've also like Grady said, I got back into Elder Scrolls Online. Really been enjoying it. I'm playing a Nord Dragon Knight called Eivor Nordborn. If you know me, you know I'm a massive Assassin's Creed fan. So I saw that I had Nord, and I put 2 and 2 together. I had to do it, best of both worlds. But it's just a really nice experience. Like, it's not stressful at all until a bomb comes up to you and starts demanding that you fight him in one-on-one combat. And
You
then
did that to me the first
tanks
time I
it.
saw you. Wait a minute.
Yeah, and it backfired.
You need to fight me. I feel left out of no one fighting me.
I don't want to fight Necromancer because you'll play dirty.
Just like take your soul.
But yeah, it's a really, really fun game. Like, and I love the Elder Scrolls games anyway. Skyrim was one of my favorite games growing up. So getting to explore the entirety of Tamriel is fantastic. I haven't played the Blackwood expansion, but I really loved Oblivion, so I might pick that up at some point. But in that, I opened a club in GTA Online called Paradise. You can come down for 2 for 1 on all entertainment and drinks. But I opened it next to the Los Santos airport, so you get all the dirty old men coming in for a peek. They get a bit of money. I'm enjoying GTA Online, apart from the times when people come down with their bloody jets and keep blowing me up. I mean, leave me alone. Stop attacking me with these bloody jets. I get it. You've got a big jet. Stop swinging it about the place.
I'll be your hero.
You'll be the lead enforcer of the club. That's what you'll be.
Part of the bouncer's job is to keep jets away from the facilities.
And you just, the jet tries to get in. You're like, halt, pulls out an RPG.
I'm just
You
going to
have
make
a
a
No combat
bodyguard.
aircraft.
I'll just be the bodyguard. Sorted.
But and also I've been playing. Grady also mentioned Red Dead Online. I got into that. The legend of Smithy Wilcox was born, a simple cowpoke from Missouri, making his way out west to find his fortune. Yeehaw!
Gold. Absolute gold.
I will do that voice on the mic when we play.
Oh, good. I was hoping I was going to ask, but that's great that you prompted. I was really hoping to listen to that for hours on end, you know?
Oh, can you go in public chat and do that?
That you're going to get lassoed and drug off in the creek if you do, I promise.
Totally worth it.
I watch too many role-playing videos on YouTube.
Bloody hell, how did you come back from that?
You don't come back from that. That's all she wrote, cowpoke.
There's no greater joy that Stefan receives than your cringe, I swear.
It's like a straight injection of dopamine.
Straight joy, serotonin on tap. Hopefully he didn't die.
I think he is truly a necromancer now. He is undead.
I am now a necromancer.
Speaking of what we're excited to play, I think Flight Simulator and The Ascent both come out this month. Yeah, Dan?
Yeah, Flight Sim's out on 27th, The Ascent's out on the 29th. 2 days from each other.
Well, I'm really looking forward to The Ascent. I think my wife and I are going to try to co-op that. That should be a good time. I think the Ascent, it's honestly one of those games where I was immediately interested. I like what I saw. I thought the gameplay looked fun. I found out you could play it together. And then I've stopped trying to learn more about the game because I want to go in pretty new.
What I like is it looks to be like on a cyberpunk sort of world. And it's local, co-op, and up to 4 players online. So that'd be a nice game to play together.
What about you, Dan? You got any opinions on The Ascent?
Yeah, it looks really cool. I hope it's not a letdown like a certain other cyberpunk-themed game we had a few months ago, but it looks a lot of fun. Kind of looks like twin sticky shooter mixed with like a action RPG. I've definitely give it a go. It's on Game Pass, so why the hell not?
It is an action RPG.
Shout out to Jez Corden from Xbox 2 and Windows Central. He did I don't know if he did a full preview or just a brief mention of it, but he seemed really high on it, what he was able to talk about.
I think he played like 4 hours of it.
Yeah, he seemed pretty high on it. I mean, that's usually an indication that the game's probably going to be pretty good, especially if it has fishing.
This game was made by a team of 11 people.
Amazing, really.
So that is actually really cool.
I mean, thinking about it, there's a lot of games like that nowadays. Stardew Valley was only made by one man.
Yeah,
Great
that's
game.
Crazy. I modded a lot of Stardew Valley.
I liked everything about Stardew Valley except the fishing. The fishing was brutal.
No, not if you modded it and you always caught fish.
That's cheating. Actually, no, it's not cheating. It's accessibility.
It's called modding.
I made this more accessible to people that suck at fishing. No, it was not a good fishing mechanic. Okay, there's a difference.
Terrible. It was so hard to do. Like
it was
with the holding the click down and then having to let it go at the right time. I was like, oh my god! And that's when I just found a mod and stuck it on there. But I played it on the Switch and it was a bit easier on the Switch. I tried playing it on my phone as well, and that was hard.
I think as you progressed, the fishing got easier. But when you first tried to fish, it just slapped your hand like, nice try, go do something else, you know?
Yeah.
But I saw some news for Flight Sim, whereas that if you have a variable refresh rate display, in which case I just bought the LG C1, so you can play it at 60 frames per second because the console's able to keep the screen from tearing and stuff like that.
Look at that flex. Ooh,
it's a little flex, but this is the future. I was very excited about this technology when G-Sync was first coming out back in the day, you know, 'cause it lets you get more out of the game without having to turn stuff down so that you could run 90 frames except for the dips. You see what I mean? To achieve a solid 60. In this case, you can get more out of the game and still have a smooth experience. So I'm looking forward to trying that. But, realistically, Flight Simulator at 30 frames per second, which I don't prefer 30 at anything, but if you're going to have a game at 30, Flight Sim's probably the one to do it, because a lot of part of it is the ambience, the experience flying and looking. It'd be better at 60 on everything, but I think if you have to have 30, that's the game to do it.
I mean, I've tried it, and my PC isn't very powerful, so it was running at 10 frames per second. So 30 locked is a big bump.
Yeah, that should be pretty good. I'm looking forward to trying that. I briefly played that on my PC, but I had to turn it down so far that I didn't get a lot out of the experience. And I think they've got these kind of almost guided tours. You should go here and you should fly this way kind of thing to get the most out of the game in some of the different locations.
I'm flying straight from Cork Airport into Grady's house.
Oh, good luck. My house is in one of the locations that it's not particularly interesting in the game. It's built entirely from satellite data, which is still cool, but it's not one of those areas that's been massaged into something really special. You know what I mean? Like, I can tell where my house is supposed to be, but it doesn't really look like my house, if that makes sense.
Played it on a PC Flight Simulator, but there's so many controls, so I'm looking forward to see how they managed to put it onto Xbox and how smoothly it plays compared to the PC.
But the nice thing, the way they built it is they've made it...
Be interested to see how they adapt it from PC to the Xbox.
Speaking of accessibility, there's been a trend on social media, Twitter. Basically, Tim Schafer of Double Fine Studios came out and announced that Psychonauts 2 is going to have an invincibility mode, and they have gotten so much negativity and hate over it. People basically calling them, oh, you're encouraging laziness and you're encouraging people just, to breeze through games. And I have to say, I don't know where these people get off saying half the stuff they are. Firstly, no, it's not laziness. We'll get into this in a minute. It's not laziness. It's called accessibility. And it basically just means the more people are able to play the game, enjoy the game, get into the game, and then where they might not have otherwise have been able to because there was something blocking them from getting, into the game. Maybe they have a disability, maybe they have a short attention span, maybe they're just not very good at games but they like playing them. Maybe the difficulty isn't the thing for them. And to come out and basically say, oh, you're a bunch of lazy, good-for-nothings, it's just stupid. It completely sidesteps what Tim Schafer himself has said the mode is for. It's to make the game more accessible. And a lot of people involved in the industry have come to his defence, and rightfully so. So we thought it'd be an interesting topic to go into. So who wants the bone?
I was going to say, Xbox released, I think it was Xbox UK, put a tweet out that it's still completing the game even on easy difficulty, and I think that's actually a really good message to have about this sort of stuff and the attitude.
Yeah. Well, I've got a couple different thoughts on this. One, I don't really like talking about topics that are super hot online because I feel like we just add to the echo chamber, and I don't necessarily enjoy that.
Because Grady is a hipster.
That's right. But I think it's important that we kind of put our voices out there on the side of good in this case. It's not like you get a black belt for beating a game on hard. You know what I mean? If there are games out there that are hard on purpose and beating them gets to be some kind of achievement or medal or whatever, I don't understand. If the options are there and you can say you beat it on the hardest difficulty, good for you. But if you make a game available to more people, I just don't see any harm in it. And it takes away from nothing. It doesn't take away at all from people that have beaten it on the harder difficulty. And finally, my last point is, if you've ever had a loved one that wanted to get into gaming and you watched them struggle against, like my wife didn't play games when she was younger. She was from a pretty impoverished area, actually, had to boil water straight from the sink before it was safe to drink. So a person that didn't grow up with a controller in their hand and have every blessing to get to the level that a lot of people are at on average today, when you watch a person like that want to know more about gaming and learn more about it and participate in a hobby you love, and you watch them unable to overcome the learning curve on the majority of games, then you absolutely long for easier options, more accessibility options, so that this person can experience these things. If you've reached a point in your life where you've watched a loved one struggle with something like that, then you might have a different opinion than thinking somehow it takes away from you.
Yeah, exactly. And these type of people, these kind of opinions really make me angry because it's not taking anything away from you. If you want to complete it on the hardest difficulty, go on, have at it, do what you want. But why should everyone else be, left out just because you're insecure about have it like your achievement like in the game. At best, these people are ignorant to what they're saying, but at worst, it's ableism, it's elitism, it's gatekeeping, and I don't like it. It's just.
I think with me, this is like personally affects me because I've got dyspraxia. Those who
I
don't
have
know what
dyspraxia as well,
Dyspraxia
and
is
autism.
Yeah, for those who don't know what dyspraxia is, it affects your hand and eye coordination. So fine motor movements is a major struggle. I didn't learn how to tie my shoelaces properly until my teenage years. So with me, certain games are too difficult to play. Button bashes, for example, where you have to do combos. Like I struggle with all of that. And first-person shooters, I always say I'm a noob because I'm not really good at them. I enjoy them though. So having the option there where I don't have to stress about dying and being able to enjoy the gameplay is really nice to have. And I think with a lot of people, they don't have this competitive streak in them. They just want to sit there and enjoy the game. And you know, there's stuff like Mass Effect with different difficulties, and if you do it on Insanity, you get a specific achievement for that. So to me, it's just like if they do want, if they want to leave this stuff for those who want to play it invincibility mode, fair enough. Get an achievement out there for them to, for those who play on the hardest difficulty to go, oh, well done for playing on hard difficulty.
And I might be wrong on this one. I think all achievements are available even with the invincibility mode on, and that's one of the buttons they're trying to pick.
That's really good to have.
And I don't see anything wrong with it. Like I said, it's not like you get paid for, you know what I mean? You don't get a black belt. It's not a life accomplishment. It's a video game. It's entertainment. It's media.
Yeah, and it's not fun when you're struggling over a game and stressing about it. Especially like Psychonauts 2, which looks to be very popular coming out. It's nice to have even the most casual players being able to play it.
Yeah, like it's something that a lot of game developers are more aware of now and are making bigger strides towards making their games as accessible as possible. Like last year, The Last of Us Part 2, that was a very divisive game, but something that it excelled at was its accessibility options. It had like modes for colorblind people, it had modes for deaf people, obviously standard subtitles, but also you could mess with the color palettes, if you were like, say you were epileptic or something, if there was like a particular light pattern that, may trigger your, a seizure, you can go in and you can basically, edit these, like the different like light patterns in the game. Like it's very robust and it was it was really nice to see. They won awards for that, for how good they.
Well, talking about that, Cyberpunk completely failed over on that with brain dancing. I've had an ECG, and it's exactly the same thing. Luckily, I'm not a photosensitive epileptic person. I'm just epileptic, but it's like there's no thought goes into that, and it's something which why can you just turn it off? But I don't know why they needed to have it in there.
I think they felt they were being edgy. I don't know. It's stupid. Like and people did trigger seizures as well.
I read an article. There was kicking off on the epilepsy Twitter feeds. A lot of people were just so angry about it, and I'm like, this is something that could easily be turned off. And I've played like indie games. One is House Simulator or House Building Simulator, something like that. And it is something simple, like you don't like cockroaches. Okay, we'll just have broken glass.
Yeah. It's the same thing with Grounded from Obsidian. If you've got arachnophobia, you can go in and they've got giant spiders, but you can go in and turn them into anthropomorphic blobs.
Yeah, it's just simple things, and I think a lot of people, because it is a minority of people with like certain issues, and it gets forgotten about quite a bit. Like, for example, Brady's wife, from an improvist background, going into gaming, people forget about that. Like, we grew up with video games. I was playing Lincoln games as a young kid, so I'm used to gaming, but then people my age or slightly younger might not have had the same experiences.
Well, it's a learning curve thing, We live pretty well now, the two of us, and we're proud of what we've accomplished, but she definitely started gaming later in life than I did, and it just makes a difference having these options available to help people on-ramp better to the games. And by the way, speaking of Grounded, that's the last time I screamed. That damn wolf spider jumped out on me and screamed like a man. It was awful.
I'm surprised you've never screamed at my gamer tag.
I haven't noticed it.
It's
the Spider-Man. Yeah, but Spider-Man's fine. It's not like seeing a spider. Spider-Man Dan.
Spider-Dan, nerdy Spider-Dan.
No wolf spider jumping at you suddenly. I don't know how much you've played that, but they've got the spider animations down.
Real life.
It's brutal.
I know, I've seen a wolf spider in real life. No, thank you.
I see. I'm the only person in this chat who likes spiders.
Weirdo.
Come and bite me, baby. Give me radioactive
Wow.
powers.
Wow.
So that's enough of that topic. Brady, what are we talking about next to end this wonderful podcast?
The Uncle Phil Spencer, head of
Santa
Xbox.
Daddy.
Santa Daddy Phil Spencer.
for God's
Ho,
sake.
ho, ho. He was on the Kind of Funny Games cast this week, and I haven't listened to the entire episode yet, but I am enjoying that. I will go out of my way to listen to podcasts when Phil's on there for some reason. I'm a fan. He made some comments about how he liked some of the things that the PS5 controller has been doing, and kind of some speculation that maybe Xbox should do some stuff in that zone as well. Dan, you have a PlayStation 5 with a DualSense controller. What would you like to see Xbox learn from that controller?
I have 2 DualSense controllers, but the big thing about the DualSense for me is that it just helps, to immerse you more in the game. Like, it is simple things like, for example, the haptic motors in the controller. When you're walking across certain surfaces, it feels like, you get the sensation that in your hands that are feeling what you're walking across. And the triggers, they're very sensitive. So, like, if you're pulling a bow, they will tighten. It's that, that idea of adding an extra dimension to your gaming. People say, virtual reality is the next dimension of gaming, and I've always been a bit of a holdout on that because the experiences haven't really matched up to that vision. But I do think that improving of the controllers in this way can really help you to feel closer to the game. And I really like the Xbox controller. It is my favorite controller just because of the way it fits into my hands. But I would love it if they were to bring some haptic feedback or the tensile triggers to this controller as well, because I would love the best of both worlds. Yeah, I'd love to see it. It would really help to immerse me more into games like Halo. Just imagine playing Halo and cocking a grenade and the trigger locks halfway and then you release it.
To be clear, Dan, I mean the Xbox controller does have vibration motors in the grips, and I think even the triggers rumble. How are those haptics different on the DualSense outside of the triggers, specifically the tensile triggers?
Yeah, the Xbox controller has some vibration, but compared to what you get with the DualSense, it's very unrefined. It just feels like no matter what, it's going to set it off. It doesn't have the preciseness of the DualSense. So if I was to blow something up, I just get a really powerful in the controller.
Right.
If I was to do that with a DualSense, I would feel the impact of the explosion, but I'd also get there'd be a slight rumble at first, and then you get the explosion in your hand. It's just more precise and it makes it more immersive. Like I said.
I wonder how much of that's software and how much of that's hardware. And I've not used a DualSense controller to really understand what you're explaining to me. It sounds like something that needs to be experienced to really get.
Oh, it does. And if you do get a PS5, the best game to show you what the DualSense can do is the one that comes on it, Astrobot. I love Astrobot.
Oh, yeah. I saw that. That did look fun. I like platformers.
You'd really like it. It's a lovely little platform. I want an Astrobot, a full game now.
I wonder if those tools exist and they're just not being utilized to the extent, maybe devs are being instructed to highlight that feature more.
Dan, do you know of any games which are out on both PS5 and Xbox, and the PS5 has this feature?
That's a great question.
Resident Evil 8, I think.
So I wonder what more needs to be done in order to adapt that into the Xbox controllers. Because, there is the hardware aspect of it. It's probably some chips or something. So
I will say that most of those improvements, they're only really used by first-party and second-party studios.
Right.
I haven't seen a lot of third-party studios adopt it, obviously, because they have to make it the same on both platforms.
There's the extra work involved, like the Kinect application in different games. You saw that used more by first-party or...
Yeah,
not to say third-party didn't use it, but...
with the Dragon Shouts.
Anyway, I saw a poll where people were asked, what did they think about Xbox adding similar features to the PS5's controller, and the poll seemed fairly split down the middle, yes and no. I wonder if half of that is from a fanboy perspective to assume that the Xbox controller
a lot of
could
toxic
get better.
fanboys out there will just, say anything to defend their brand.
Yeah, to ask the Xbox do something like that, you would have to admit to yourself that you thought the PS5 did something good in that regard, and fanboys would balk at that, right?
Yeah.
But in my opinion, if you make something like that an optional upgrade or something you can toggle off in software if you don't like it, then nobody loses, right? It's a win-win.
Well, you could always make an Elite 3 controller and adapt it onto there.
The thing is, if you were to make an Elite 3 controller, those features would be seldom used because that's a niche, controller, and the game developers wouldn't
Yeah, but you
bother.
could put it in there. But you could add it in there, because if you're going to have vibrations anyway in the games, and it's just more niche with, if you have an Elite 3 controller, you get this better experience. Selling point.
Yeah, but if it's majority software side, it would require patches and updates. Unless they were able to...
Games.
Yeah, new games.
You couldn't do it on like old games, but they did it on new games. Because if they're doing it for the PS5, and they're releasing games on the PS5 and the Xbox, and it has it on the PS5, then I can't see why they couldn't do something on the Xbox.
Right. Now, I like options, and if they decided to make something like that an option for an upgrade or go that direction more, something that you can turn on or off if you like it or don't like it, I'm all for it.
Yeah, it would be a nice feature to have. I just might have to steal Dan's PS5 to try it.
Ha! No,
Party
it's
at
not leaving
Dan's
the
house.
country.
Party at Dan's house.
Thanks, Dan, for inviting us to your house.
In rural Ireland. Good luck getting here.
I'm going to start a GoFundMe on Twitter, and I'll be headed that way.
Yeah, sponsor us to go to
Visit
Dan's.
Dan.
Thank
We
you
need to
to
visit
Windows
the
11
original
for
Dan.
sponsoring the flight tickets.
No one is getting sponsored by Windows 11. No
And
one.
citronella candles.
What is this thing with the candles?
Well, there's one sitting in front of me, and I needed some sponsors, so there it is. Well, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the show this week. We're all a bit tired, as work's been stressing us out somehow simultaneously, but it's been fun, a lot going on. Dan, why don't you take us home?
Thanks for listening, guys. As always, you can find Carry On Gaming on Twitter and Facebook. We hope you really enjoyed the show. I'm really sorry for my lack of sleep. And next week, I will smack myself before I come on to wake myself up. But until then, grab a hot chocolate, watch a film, whatever you want to do. And remember, no matter what, no matter how hard things get, just keep calm and carry on gaming. We'll see you next week, guys.
Bye.
Bye.